G for the Great
Being
Barrier
recorded.
Reef. And so anyway, what ended up happening is that everybody went berko about that bloody coloured coin because it was luck of the draw as to whether you got one. And there were people paying $200 just for that one coin. But you try and sell it for it now, no one wants it.
Does
The
anyone,
people who wanted it got it.
does anyone remember phone cards?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
exactly.
They were
I've
so
still,
big.
I've still got some if you want some.
No, thank you. I mean, but weren't they so big and
Yeah.
everyone was hunting for them?
Right, didn't you say you wanted the ambulance service?
Loose ones, yeah.
Yeah,
You got an ambulance?
yeah.
The ambulances were
Oh, amongst
green.
that stuff.
That's the latest one. We'll sort it later, Frank.
Okay, let's
Sorry,
start.
mate.
We'll start the meeting and we'll get this over and done with. Well, welcome to the Australian Numismatic Society's meeting 1223. Does that include last month?
No. We didn't have a meeting.
Okay. We have apologies from John Minikos, Robert Tonner, Graham Howard, David Mee, Les Carlisle, Ron Bolden, Joe Datling, Marie Brad. Brad, isn't it?
Brad, yeah.
Greg, yeah.
There you go. Look.
Yeah.
He said he wasn't going to come.
Yes, he's right.
Sorry for being late.
I left the door open especially for you.
Thanks, I was wishing that.
Matthew Lloyd, and, we said Barry Towers already. Okay, yeah, Barry Towers. Marie Brad, not Bragg.
Yeah, B-R-A-D-D.
Double D, not double G.
This is B-R-A-G-G.
But it's B-R-A-D-D.
Brad, is it?
Yeah.
I call it that.
Oh, well, we can brag about it.
That's right. Well, she probably is.
Again,
The stamp you got with the brakes.
The brags, yeah.
is there any other, anybody else that you know of that couldn't make it tonight? That would have put in their apologies?
It's not coming through.
Our next meeting will be at Noble Numismatics at 7:30 p.m. It's this second Monday. Is it second Monday at 7:30 p.m. We're at Noble Numismatics. Okay, well,
How do you get down?
yeah, just, okay. The cable plugged in on your end.
Should be.
Was it working a minute ago?
Yeah, what?
Yeah,
Got something.
What have you touched then? Yeah.
It almost worked. There he goes.
Good.
Don't breathe on it.
Right.
Don't move. Okay, yeah, so our next month's meeting will be, so that's the March meeting,
Yep.
held at Noble Numismatics at 7:30 p.m. We start at 7:30 p.m. as opposed to 8 p.m. when we have it here. Jim Noble will give us an update on the numismatic marketplace and show us the highlights of his next auction. Okay, we may be joined by a few members of the IBNS. Is that,
Yeah,
Yeah, if that's okay.
we've got Ross.
Ross?
The buggers discussed it yesterday, and decided to still have that. My idea was that it was in place of their monthly meeting. No, they still want to meet on the Sunday, so that means I've got to come down twice. Still.
So the IBNS members are coming down to sort of
Look,
view...
we'll be lucky if there's half a dozen.
Yeah, but just to view the auction lots like we do.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah, I've cleared it with Jim, and
Yeah.
we'll do something maybe slightly separate so it doesn't interfere with the coins if everybody wants to see the coins, the banknotes can be
Well,
maybe showed separately.
yeah, you got to understand that you know, the reason why we go down to Nobles is to have a look at the auction lots mainly. You know, we have our quick meeting and then we look at the auction lots, so, you know, the more the merrier, I suppose, because the more people see different auction lots. And if Jim knows that the IBNS members are going to come along, he'd probably show a few
more
banknotes.
banknotes.
A few more banknotes than what he does normally. So yeah, it'd be good to see those guys anyway.
All right, thanks for that.
I'm a member of the IBS as well. You are too, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a member of the IBNS.
Yeah, so, you know, we were only just discussing the IBNS, a friend of mine and myself, the other day, because, you know, I'm really impressed with their newsletter. You know, like the
With whose newsletter?
IBNS newsletters, the magazines that you put out.
Right.
The journals,
The
the
journals.
quarterly journals, yeah.
I think they're fantastic.
Lots of
Lots of research. Yeah. All right, we got general business. Rod has distributed the latest journal and January proclamation medals to those who have ordered one. There are a few for sale at $10 each to members who...
So if you didn't get one there, or if Mari wants a set, you can get her a set.
Yeah, I got mine in the post, thank you.
You got yours in the post, yeah? I mailed it to you.
I get my proclamation medal. I get my medal as well. Not too sure whether I got my medal.
You got your medals?
Yeah.
They were in the journal. If you got the journal, you should have
Oh,
your
the
the
journal.
3 that you bought.
Yeah, I bought those 3, but do I have to buy these 2?
Yeah.
Oh.
If you didn't pay me money, you didn't get it.
No, but I didn't pay for the auction lots until after I got it either. Oh no, I did, because you
You paid the auction lots.
Okay, anyway, there's still a few left over at $10 each, so I better get one before we go. Look, our next meeting is in March at Noble Numismatics, as I just mentioned. You know, then it's April, May, and then June. There's only 3 months before we have our June conference on Monday the 13th of June at Phil's house at 10 a.m. to 4:15 p.m. Right? There are still spots for members to give a 30-minute talk, or generally it's 25 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes.
Nearly 20-minute tour.
Is it to be held here?
Yeah, yeah. But it is a one-day event.
It's on the
and
Monday,
it is-
the Queen's holiday, Queen's birthday
It's on
holiday Monday.
it's on the Queen's birthday holiday in June. So we're having that this June. So really, it's only 3 months away. And already I've noticed that one of our members that haven't been able to get to the meetings for quite a while, Ron Boland, is going to be there. That's going to be good to see him, because I haven't spoken to him for years now. You know, ever since we've had to vacate from Powerhouse Museum. So yeah, so that was it.
Yeah.
I might have seen him a couple
Are
of
we
times.
looking for numbers to attend?
Anybody who wants to
Yeah.
can attend.
Is it worth inviting? Is the Metropolitan Coin Club still in existence?
Nah, forget
Yes.
it. They're
Yeah,
on.
I think they are.
Yeah, we've invited Philas, so anybody in
Yeah.
Philas who collects will turn up.
I think there's an active one at Maitland, an active coin club at Maitland. You know.
Yeah. There's a coin club at Maitland, and then there's the Newcastle Coin Club too.
MCC meets on the first Sunday of the month up at Epping Aquatic Centre. Generally they have an auction.
Yeah, or rather than putting more onus on Rod or something, you know, I'd be willing to contact a couple of these clubs if that's,
Oh, we'll just let them know.
just let them know.
Yeah.
The same, I saw a journal that was tabled at the IBNS yesterday from the Redland Shire Coin Club, INC, such, you know, from Queensland.
Yeah.
And they're a good little journal, and they're certainly active, but I'm not suggesting, you know, we're inviting them, but maybe down the track if we have another one up at Coffs Harbour, we could look at that.
I don't know how many will turn up here, but basically, because we've said to Philas to let their members who collect coins know it's on here, to turn up, that there's no charge, except you bring your own lunch. Or you go out and buy lunch, yeah.
Just get over. They keep offering $30 discount to me. I don't think they'd come to Mango Mountain though.
All right, so yeah, that so keep that in mind. That the our, what do we call it? A mini conference.
Yeah, well, just a
it's
simple conference.
a one-day event on the Monday, 13th of June. Should be quite interesting. Yeah, it's basically Rod's running it basically in line with what we do at Coffs Harbour. You know, 30-minute talks, discussions. You know.
Well, I'm hoping we'd get a few members who don't come to this meeting because it's at night and they have trouble, who'd come in the day. And like we said, we've got Ron Bolden saying he's going to give a talk. We've got Colin Pitchfork saying he'll come and give a talk. And we have Bruce Short saying he's going to come and give a talk. So there's 3 members we don't normally see.
Yeah. Okay.
I think
Okay.
you said you were going to give a talk too, didn't you? Yeah, all I need is the title.
I know.
Here's George.
Okay.
Hello, George. I'll get you and Ross to sign in. That's this over here.
Is there any other general business that anyone wants to discuss? Anything you've seen over the past couple of months that you might think that would be interesting?
Does anyone have any topics that they'd like to put in for the second half of the year?
What it is.
Get you to sign in?
Yeah, have a think about different topics that you might be interested to hear about and see what we can do. It's always something that we struggle with. All right, well anyway, we'll move on then. Tonight's topic is Australian and New Zealand merchants medals or tokens. Yeah, so did anyone bring along any? Start with you. Okay, we'll start with you then.
All right.
Yep, you can start.
I don't know where, I'm not random.
I need 28.50 off you.
I feel a little bit unpatriotic because I've only got 2 Australian ones but 4 or 5 New Zealand ones. And I've committed a crime by trying to clean them up a little bit because I just couldn't read what was on them. So and you wouldn't, I don't think you would have seen them through the scope either. But however, this first one, when I first saw it, was Charles Shelley Proprietary Limited. And I thought, oh yeah, Shelley's Cordials. But it couldn't be. I don't think it could be any further away from cordial than anything else. But it happened to be a poker machines. Because of the use of gaming machines was illegal under 1956, the early history of the Australian poker machine industry is shrouded in mystery. The machines were tolerated to such an extent that at least 4 manufacturers were in Sydney before 1956. The first of these seems to have been Charles Shelley Proprietary, which patented and made gaming machines during the 1940s. But 1950, Nut and Muddle were manufacturing Jubilee machines. The short-lived Apex Amusement Company was also active. I'll move on from that. But, so his special was the Shell Special machine. Was a product of Shelley's. And because of this role, these machines are often called trade simulators within the trade rather than pure gaming machines. Although the machine was produced in the 1940s, its mechanism and functioning is identical to machines produced around 1900 by Mills and other US gaming manufacturers. So there's just a photo of his poker machine. The second one is, I've got it right, yeah, James Noakes, a grocer in Melbourne. It's a copper halfpenny token minted by the Kangaroo Office in Melbourne in 1854. I've got no idea what the Kangaroo Office is. Anyone any ideas?
They did the gold, didn't they?
Yeah, it probably would have had something to do with it, I suppose. It was issued by James Noakes, a wholesale and retail grocer, to commemorate the arrival of Sir Charles Hotham in Melbourne on the 22nd of June 1854. Soon after issuing his tokens, Noakes experienced monetary problems and sold his grocery firm to T.W. Thomas & Co., who also issued halfpenny tokens employing the Hotham commemorative reverse. The tokens were struck by Reginald Scaife at the Kangaroo Office with dies prepared in Melbourne using steel dies banks bought from England on copper halfpenny blanks. The commemorative reverse die has survived and is in the museum collection. This is the Victorian Museum. Noakes also issued another token which was struck with a stock-seated Australian reverse. It's a round copper token, 28mm in diameter, and gives the name of the business, etc., etc. Yeah, once again it just says the mint being the Kangaroo Office in Melbourne, Greater Melbourne, so whatever that might mean to anyone.
I wonder whether Charles Hotham was really a sir.
Sorry?
Do we know Charles Hotham, but was he really a sir?
Well, I think he was one of the first governors of
Was he?
Victoria, I
Right.
think. I've got a vague idea. But,
Right, so I sort of wonder where I'm not putting it on a token like that. He just
it just says the commemoration of the landing of Sir Charles Hotham. I don't know why, but I just got a vague idea that he was one of the governors or something of Victoria. The next one is
1854 was when Melbourne was settled, wasn't it? When was officially settled?
Started. Well, no,
Was it 54?
75.
the Melbourne Centenary.
54, 55, wasn't it?
75.
No,
35.
35. 35.
where am I?
It's the Florida, the Centenary, Melbourne Centenary, Florida, 35. 34.
Oh yeah. Right. No, that's not it. What the hell have I done? Sorry, just got myself all found up here again. Clarkson. Which one is S. Clarkson? There's a 1 penny token put out by S. Clarkson, imported wholesaler, Christchurch, New Zealand. It's a copper 1 penny token minted by W.J. Taylor, London. Issued by S. Clarkson, imported wholesaler, Christchurch in 1875. He was 14 years old when he arrived in Lyttelton, New Zealand with his father. In April 1851 they were joined by his mother and siblings. The family then moved to Christchurch. In 1857 he married Miss Lodge Samuel, following his father's trade, working as a carpenter and contractor. He became a person of note after building a spectacular 5-roomed house. After several years opened a wholesale builders merchants warehouse. He was a wholesaler for some years and after retiring continues his involvement in the construction industry, acting as an agent for a number of construction material companies. The piece features the name, address, blah blah blah. The reverse features a female figure representing justice, seated on a wool bale with legs to left but her head and upper body to front. A wine barrel lies on the ground behind her and a three-masted sailing ship sails to the right on the horizon to her left. She wears a blindfold and extends a balanced set of scales with her right hand. With her left she holds an inverted cornucopia from which fruits flow onto the ground. She wears an ancient style of flowing dress bound at the waist, both arms bare.
The three masters got me tricked.
Sorry?
The three master ship got me tricked.
Yeah, I can't see it.
Looks like one funnel.
Yeah, one behind the other.
Yeah, well,
No, maybe that's when the empty wine barrels got in the road or
I
something.
think it's a wine barrel.
Well, there's a bit,
I think it's a one barrel.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
could be a
It's there,
three
but you
master.
Please, what the hell? No, I've partly cleaned it. It's still. Oh, yeah. So this one is C.L. Beath and Co. Clothiers, direct importers, drapers, Christchurch. The business that became Beath's had its origins in men's outfitters and drapery. Drapers Kirby and Co, founded by Oscar Kirby, so I don't know whether any relation to Knock and Kirby that we had here at all. Kirby took George Lowe Beath into partnership in 1866. After Kirby's death in 1868, George Beath took his brother-in-law Frank Malcolm into partnership, and the small men's outfitters diversified into women's wear. By the time he's died, they'd become one of the largest department stores in New Zealand. That's about it as far as that. There's a photo of that doesn't get a lot more than that. There's just a photo of the building that they traded from. And we have Edward Rees. There's a wholesale and retail building and furnishing ironmonger, Birmingham and Sheffield warehouse, Christchurch, Canterbury, New Zealand. Edward Rees was born in Shropshire, England. Do you know where that is, John? Just down the street from...
yeah, we live down the street. Yeah, I've been here, but I can't remember where it is. Shropshire.
Shropshire. Cider country, isn't it?
Pardon?
Yeah.
Shropshire?
Shropshire.
Yeah, he was born there, but
Known
then
as a battleship named the Shropshire.
he left his father's farm to work in Birmingham's hardware trade. He bought stock there and then departed for New Zealand, arriving in Lyttelton in August 1855. He established his business the following year. He was sufficiently successful to open additional stores in Christchurch and Fiji. Rees was a member of the first Christchurch Municipal Council in 1862. He managed his store until 1879 when he passed the business on to his son William. He died in 1887. The company was still trading in 1950 when the Canterbury branch of the Numismatic Society of New Zealand wrote the history of Rees and his business. The business did not appear to be trading under that name in 2005. They issued 3 penny and 3 halfpenny tokens struck for him by Thomas Stokes of Melbourne. The tokens are undated, but the Museum Victoria catalogue gives the date of issue for all 6 varieties of tokens of about 1860.
Tokens look as though they've had a lot of use anyway.
Yeah, but most of them have no cash value. But,
So are they just advertising pieces?
yeah. And then we have Samuel Coombs. Coombs. Samuel Coombs was a tailor, born about 1837. His main store was in Queen Street, Auckland, New Zealand. He also had a store in Albert Street, Grahamstown. According to a biographical sketch prepared by New Zealand numismatist H.A. Robinson, Coombs was the only issuer of currency tokens in New Zealand who put his portrait on the tokens. He is depicted in the style of the day, full face with side whiskers, and like King Henry VIII, whom he resembled, he made the mistake of showing his portrait almost full on, with nose protruding instead of in profile. Despite his unfortunate choice of portrait, it seems Coombs made very sensible business choices, as he appears that he owned an arcade in 86 Queen Street in addition to having his own business there. Coombs issued 3 varieties of copper penny tokens and possibly a 4th, according to Robinson. And this one was the very first one that I acquired, and that happened to be out at the old railway workshops at Everley. So we were doing a job out there, and I just happened to look down one day, and there it was, sitting on top of the ground.
Yeah, I could see that.
And it's rather pitted, because it was in...
Ashton, is it? H. Ashton.
Yeah, H. Ashton. Yeah, it was just coincidence. It was in Ashes, the old coke, it must have been from the train boilers. And it was, so I think that's why it's so pitted. I don't know whether that sort of got me started on collecting, but yeah, so it's a 1 penny token again. See, penny was the going thing. H. Ashton, Haberdashery, Auckland, New Zealand, 1863. Minted by Heaton and Sons, Birmingham. Issued by H. Ashton, Haberdashery, Auckland, 1863. He was a haberdasher and tailor and issued halfpenny and penny tokens between 1858 and 1863. That's from the collection of George MacArthur, whoever he might be. It's a round copper token, 34mm diameter, feature the name and address, blah blah. Reverse depicts a female figure representing justice, standing facing left. She wears a blindfold and extends a balanced set of scales, so it's very similar to the other one.
You can see the 3 masts this
That one
time.
is a 3-master.
You get slightly better. There you go. The
Swung around.
Close
The
to
wind's
the-
changed.
ancient style of dress, blah blah. A 3-masted sailing ship on horizon
We
left
got
a
it right
token.
this time.
On the
Probably the same reverse to the other one.
very, very, very similar, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the only difference being that you a little bit better
Except the
with
wind was blowing the wrong way, you see.
the sailing ship.
Oh dear.
Oh, so it's mine.
Thank you very much. Right, you mentioned that that a lot of these tokens were in actual fact produced by certain companies for the person mentioned on the coin,
Yeah.
or sorry, on the token. But one other thing that I thought you said, some of the ones that were made here in Australia were actually, produced on an existing halfpenny.
I think the Melbourne one, I think was, I forget what I said in that.
It's over there.
Yeah.
I can understand, like if you contracted Heaton in England to manufacture some tokens, they would use new blanks. But it's like the
No, sorry. That's the Melbourne one. That Noakes. Well, it's a copper halfpenny token, so I suppose it might be where you got a bit confused. It wasn't actually a
just the
halfpenny.
size of the
It's
half.
just the size, yeah.
Minted by the Kangaroo office in Melbourne. The tokens were struck by Reginald Scaife at the Kangaroo office with dies prepared in Melbourne using steel die blanks brought from England on copper halfpenny blanks. So
They might have brought, if they brought the dies, they might have brought the
so
blanks
they
as
weren't
well.
the
They weren't the actual half pennies.
coin as such. Yeah.
Okay.
So I suppose it's multiple uses.
Anyone else?
Hey, come on.
I brought one,
Got one?
my
Brad,
latest
you been one?
Haven't got it.
This is the,
Well, I do have some.
really can't see it very well because it's behind there, but it's the, hang on, I'll just take it out. Hogarth Ericsson Threepence ANS logo. It's the one I got at Jim's last auction.
That's in pretty good nick.
It is. It's the nicest one I've ever seen. It's the only one I've ever bought.
What's it made out of? Aluminium?
Hmm?
Is it aluminium?
Silver.
Silver?
Silver.
Yeah, silver threepence. So that's a very nice condition. It was estimated at $750. I got it at 700, which was still a lot of money. But it is one of the nicest ones. There's several different varieties. They're all much of a muchness. But
When was it issued?
1860, wasn't it?
1860,
Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
What was it, 18 what?
See, 1862. 62.
And this was a design that was chosen for our logo,
Yeah.
based on that. I think they made a good choice.
Who produced it?
Oh, yeah, the lyrics.
There you go.
Yeah, Hogarth Ericsson.
Oh, jewellers.
The jeweller's in George Street.
Around the edge it says. Hogarth and Ericsson, Sydney. I only bought the one because,
Good price.
oh no, I couldn't find the other. I have a New Zealand token with the Amari Warrior, but I'm damned if I know where it is.
That's a copper one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very nice piece. It's a fairly
With-
common
with the
piece.
full flowing robe.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think well, that was the same one or not, but I think I've got the same.
yeah, it's a common piece, and I've got a very nice one with luster and everything. You know, thought, ah,
We're still out celebrating after the win the other night.
yeah, but don't know where it is. But that was quite good because I found some military that I wanted to swap with Kurt Coleman anyway. So it's always the way when you're looking for something, you find other things that you've been looking for.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know what you're talking about, and I'm pretty sure I've got one. Where it's the same.
Yeah, it's a very common one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't bring anything either because of the same problem. You know, I have limited time at home at the moment, and I know I've got tokens somewhere, but yeah, to find them is another thing.
Yeah, well, again, it's my own fault. I left it until this afternoon to start looking for them. That wasn't the best thing. I know there's plenty around, but
So what are the what does everybody think about the early tokens of Australia? You know, what was the main reason for the tokens?
there was no coin.
Not enough coins.
Shortage of it,
Yeah, shortage of coinage.
Coin.
But like a lot of these ones that Frank
Actually, I
just
think-
showed, they didn't have a value. So they'd be advertising pieces, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Well, the ones that are the size of a penny were penny tokens, and the ones that are
Okay, so you looked at the actual physical size and said, right, even though it doesn't have a penny written on it,
Yeah, it's got a penny worth of copper.
They assume that it's, you know, worth a penny, so they could go to the shop and say, right, I want a penny's worth of material.
Yeah, I think I was on one of these that did mention something about that, but
Tasmania, you got the Macintosh and de Grove shilling.
yeah.
I also have one of the
Yeah,
The
it might have been
Tassie-
part of the lead up to this.
Tassie,
They mentioned that sort of
tokens.
thing, that
and I got one of the
coins, that's
restrikes Westbury.
probably what it was. It was a
Restrikes
penny
as well.
taken, that's was a
Where
penny.
is it? I don't know.
Accepted as a penny around wherever.
Okay. But then, is the reason why they didn't put an actual value on the token something to do with, say, the government saying to them, well, you can't make your own currency?
You can't make it look like currency, right?
I think the government
I'd say it probably
did
would.
allow them to do it though, because it solved the problem of shortage of coin.
I totally understand
Yeah,
that, but you know, I'm just trying to work out why they didn't have a value on those tokens.
Well, that little one, I think it does say on the back, no monetary value.
Yeah.
But the little one's a very modern one though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, well it's, well no, it's still 18 something, wasn't it?
But I bet a lot of them were used as.
Oh no, sorry, no, it was around the
Yeah.
1940, sorry. Yeah.
Because of the size, you know.
I accept the fact that a lot of the Tasmanian tokens were produced because of a severe shortage of Australian currency. And like in the 1800s, they relied heavily on the
cash or...
the English
We
currency.
used British coins here.
Yeah,
Yes,
they had the English currency up until
Yeah, there's
19...
no date on it, but...
No date, but because it says no cash value and what next, it's a lot like the
Or trade.
like the amusement tokens.
Basically, yeah.
Or a business card.
But rods had their threepence value on it.
Sorry?
I can't get a photo of that one.
Yeah.
I might take a photo.
Rods taken had
Had threepence on it,
threepence on
yeah.
it.
But that's because it was silver and it was a threepence.
Yeah.
It was also a method of keeping the small change in the colony, because if it may have had a denomination, maybe they were afraid that the small change would have got shipped to purchase goods when the trading ships came in.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, that was the reason why they made the holy dollar as well.
Correct.
You know, to stop the silver dollars from disappearing again. You know, because the traders didn't want a hole. They didn't want a hole in the middle of their silver coins because they couldn't trade that anywhere else in the world. So that's why we ended up, you know, keeping that particular coin in Australia.
And as I said, that may have been the reason that they didn't put a denomination on the coins in order to keep it in Australia.
Okay, yeah, no, okay, I take your point there. Alright. Is there anything else that anyone wants to
Any
know?
recent acquisitions?
Yep.
Recent acquisitions? Yeah, you got something?
Boil the kettle.
Got something
Anyone
to show?
else?
Yeah, go.
Yes, I've been having a good time. But had to keep it undercover. That's why, you know, it's good to come in here because, you know, I don't have to discuss it with Carol. You know, there's been
It's
a
on
couple-
tape, just don't let her view the video.
Oh, sorry. There's been a couple of collections sold
I'll send you
over
a
the
photo
past
from it.
year of postal notes, and
That's
you know
okay.
they're definitely my
Not to worry.
forte. And you look at the well-worn pound. No, I mean well-worn penny. And that's how they were. That was the currency. You know, the coinage, the small values. And a pound was a lot of dough. And I'm talking about sort of around 1890 when the banks were folding. And over in New Zealand, they had currency issues. So they came up with the idea of, well, for starters, they issued postal notes in 1886 on the same similar design to the British ones. And then in 1894, Postmaster General decided to make them as banknotes, postal notes. Not recorded in the books on banknotes of New Zealand, but there's an awareness now. And what took place was that in 1894, this Joseph Ward, who was the Postmaster General, he attended a conference here and told them what he was intending to do, that he was going to make postal notes as currency for the value of £1 and £5. So they got to work, and he had they didn't go along with it here in the conference here. But the thing that I ended up finding out to verify it all was it just happened to be that Joseph Ward was the treasurer as well. So he had a stamp of approval. So he arranged for an engraver over in New Zealand by the name of Arthur Cousins to design their first £1 note to take the place of the 20 shilling postal note.
I've taken it out so you don't get a...
And these, although there's not been an issued one surface, colour trials surfaced. And as I say, this collection that's been offered, I managed to get some of the colour trials. And that's where I still have a little bone of contention is the difference between a colour trial and an essay, because in one instance they call this an essay or something, there's a colour trial, and so we go on. But eventually what took place was, and this is a photocopy of one from a museum in New Zealand, as that's the colour they chose to issue them as currency. So they served as currency from 1894 to about 1902, and then they were withdrawn and replaced with a smaller postal note. The big one, the £5, which was a hell of a lot of dough in those times, produced by Delarue. And this is once again, this is a colour photocopy, but there was 5 colour trials surfaced, of which one got lost in the mail. I've got a really neat one, and this was the colour of the actual issued ones. And these actually circulated from 1896 right up to 1908. Once again, to try and find an issued one. Good luck, and it'll be a fantastic item to surface. But I'll table those anyway, if there's any questions at all.
They're all signed?
Certainly an interesting period. There was the thing that was different with these, there was no poundage included on the design, but in about 1902 they did charge, I think it was 3pence for the pound and 6pence for the £5 when they were issued initially from the post office. But some of the when they revised the issue in 1902 and had denominations from a shilling up to 20 shillings, those have seen lots of circulation. I've got 3 copies of it. I've got, say, a shilling, 3 shillings and a 5 shillings. And just like seeing the penny, these certainly circulate. In fact, the 3 shilling that I purchased recently didn't get cashed in till 1949. So they remained legal tender. But as I say, the discovery of the £5 actually took place, I think they were in a different building to this, but I was going through microfiche microfilm and came across designs, not the exact design of that, but a description of the design that was sent to Delarue, and also images of the watermarks. And that was back in 1996. And that raised questions. Those colour trials of the £5 turned up through, I understand, Spink Options in one in Hong Kong, I think, and one in London. But I managed to get the one I got was re-offered through Mowbray's. It only cost about 15,000 New Zealand. But when you've sort of discovered them and written about them, you've got to have one. But it went very quietly into the collection.
Somebody doesn't know.
And this is what Carol's had a go at me recently. Said, for goodness sake, put the prices you paid for some of these things on them in the albums. So, because we've got no idea, if you pop off, we've got no idea what they're worth, you know. I said, I'd just take them to Jim. And these are my latest productions of the Post-Order News. These were exciting though. Two of these turned up on eBay. May I borrow your glasses?
Yes.
Oh no, I had that.
Yeah, mine is
I try to bury them at times. So I put here 345 boom. So a £3 specimen, a £4 and a £5 turned up on eBay, and I think he had the postage at the minimum rate, 80p for each one, and then he what did he do? The starting prices were £12, £14 and £15 on eBay. Immediately these were doubled by the first bidder on the first day, 10th of December, are £156, 78, and boom, away they went. Only two bidders for the £3, as happens at auctions. Potential bidder forgot or misses the action, sadly for the vendor. But they managed in the final minutes to £206.67 for the £3. The £4 and £5 saw dizzy new heights as the third bidder joined in. The £4 with minutes down to parts of a second to go zipped upwards from £560 to £2,250. Wow. The £5 followed from £156.78 with 7 late bids to a whopping £2,628. So Rossi gets his detective work going and contacts the seller, and he happens to have 2 more, but kept confidential, except it was going to, I asked permission to have them in Post-Order News. He did end up making a deal with the buyer of the other 3, and so at what price I'm not certain. But that was this is what's happening in with postal orders. There's some new finds, and it happens quite regularly. This was one that I managed to. I put out a request because for 20 or 30 years nobody's seen a 7 and 6. It hadn't been recorded anywhere. There was a mention of it being a browny colour, and a guy by the name of Wayne Menners contacted me and had one in his collection. So that's the first one of those, for instance, that we were able to record. Anyway, I start chatting to this Wayne Menners, and he turns out to be the editor of the Postal Stationery Society in the US. They've got about 5,000 members. You know, we struggle with about 100. But it's great the way you can get a friendship going and exchange interests. because he was really interested in printing plates of these South African ones. So there you go.
Thank you.
So with your postal order group that you've got, like you mentioned, just about 100 members, do you have monthly meetings or do you just...
No, they're spread over the world,
Yeah.
and mainly in England, but we contact them with the magazine 4 times a year, and then they have an annual general meeting in England. Usually it was at an IBNS fair.
Yeah, a bit like the IBNS. Yeah, having members around the world.
But I'm getting a lot of joy out of it.
Good. Thanks, Ross. Any other recent acquisitions that anyone wants to talk about? No?
We can go and have our tea.
Okay, well, thank you very much. The little talks that we had with the 3 members, I think were very informative. I quite enjoyed it. You know, it's always something that you know, you've never seen before, and that you know, you come around with you know, tokens, and like with Ross's postal orders are something that we don't normally look at, so I think it's quite good. Okay, having said that, how about we close the meeting, and we'll invite the members to have refreshments. Tony? Thank you.